the social media trend now are these teams, when they cut a player, they trade a player, they fire a coach. Thank you. Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, if you just fired me, the last thing I want is a public thank you for me. Because if you really appreciated my service, I'd still be employed.
Well, it's going back to my Schwartz thing. It's like, we want you as the defense coordinator. You're not good enough to be our head coach, but will you stay? I'm with you. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Like, I mean, and you bring up a good point with Schwartz, right? I mean, this is the second time he's interviewed with the Browns for a head coaching job. This is the second cycle that he's done this, right? Ultimately, a couple years down the line, they brought him back in to be the defensive coordinator for Kevin Stefanski after Kevin Stefanski went the Joe Woods route, and it did not go well. And now he's interviewed in another cycle to be the head coach here. He's going to get a second interview. That's supposed to be tomorrow. And if he doesn't get the job, right, what would you do in that spot? Like, what would you do if you've twice they had an opening, you interviewed for it twice, you're going to do it, you're going to do multiple rounds of interviews this time around after being the defensive coordinator and really putting together one of the best defensive units in the NFL. What would you, and they bring in some young whippersnapper, offensive guru, up-and-coming genius, whatever, would you stay as the defensive coordinator if you were asked?
No, that's coach's code. I mean, and once again, just like Kevin had to, once we've talked about, Kevin as a good person, but it was time for a change for both sides. Sometimes that happens when things are going well too, and this would be a classic case. I've been here a long time as a defense coordinator. We've done great things. You've kind of built this to my scheme, which I appreciate. It allows me to be in this situation, but you don't trust me enough to be your head coach. We've tried it twice. You've gone another route both times. For me now, it's time to go. And once again, you leave on good terms, but what else is there for him to do? And, being the assistant head coach, all those kind of things, you're basically telling this guy, you have done a great job for us, but you have not done a good enough job or what we perceive as to be our head coach.
Yeah.
Then it's time to go. It's time to, once again, you part ways. There doesn't always have to be a negative thing when you part ways. You're going a different route, so am I.
Yeah, I just feel like they're trying to butter him up to get him to stay. I just.
Well, at this point in time, money's not a big deal for him, right? He's got plenty of money. He's got everything he wants right now.
Money's not a big deal for the Haslams either.
Which
is why I had them in the John Harbaugh sweepstakes, because I hope they got
they were just going
to. I was just rooting for them to get real stupid with the checkbook.
Bid everybody?
Yeah, Oh, the Giants are offering $100. Hey, John, it's AB here in Cleveland. What if we went 5 years for $115?
Yeah, I mean,
would you be in? Like, I don't know. I just was hoping that they just get really. Again, it's not my money. I'm good at spending Jimmy Haslam's money. I don't care.
Absolutely, it's not mine. I'm always good at spending other people's money.
I'm very good at spending other people's money. Right, but for me, I need to just. Hey, John, could you come here for like 95? We're the Browns. Like we can't afford to pay you $100 million. It's New York, right? I mean, it's the Browns. Your family, Browns. Like I would have been like pulling at everything I could to get it, but I knew from the jump that he wasn't coming.
Do you think Haslam ever looks at himself and says, the route of spending the money it's just like they say with players, if spending money can't be the only thing, or does he think to himself, the more money I spend, the better we can be?
No, because he still just spends.
I mean, it's just like
money.
I'll spend everybody.
If you look at and I think this is maybe part of the reason Kevin got fired too. He spent over $625 million in payroll the last 2 seasons combined, and they won 8 games. If I were him, I'd be pretty irate too. But I would also have fired the guy that spent the $625 million.
Well, that goes back to what we were saying before the break, right? Kevin doesn't get a pass, right? But as we've said, I think everybody had to go or no one had to go because everybody had their hand in it, right? So, Yeah, Kevin doesn't get the pass, but AB had his hand in it. Everybody's had their hand in
And
this.
again, this is the genius of the Browns. Everybody has plausible deniability. You can't just blame one single person.
Well, and then that's the second point is if you're non-transparent, you let everybody else write your narrative, and that's a problem because people are going to write it however they want, and those won't all be positive. So the more transparent you are, the more you tell people how we're thinking, what we're doing, how we're doing it, who we're hiring, why we're spending money, why we draft the way we do. Why do the Steelers and the Ravens, every time they draft, you go, yeah, that's a Steelers-Ravens guy. Because there's a system kind of built in, and they're transparent in how they do things and how they evaluate players and their coaches, et cetera. That's why they've had 3 coaches since 1969. There's reasons these things happen. And I just wonder, do the powers that be, the brass, do they say, we have to change this because the way we're doing it is not working? Or do they feel they just haven't found their people yet? It's mind-boggling at times.
Well, they thought they found their people in Kevin and Andrew, right? They got the alignment that they were looking for that they struggled to find in the many previous regimes that they had brought in here. But now you get to a point, though, where things either got a little stale, you need to make a dramatic shift, especially offensively when you have to do a complete retool and rebuild. Also, too, Kevin's input on some of personnel decisions that were made that didn't work out or didn't perform, like that all factors into deciding whether or not
they all had their hand in it, right?
Yeah, that you're going to move on from somebody. But now, Andrew gets another coach. But this coach better work out because Andrew's going to follow this guy out the door next time.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Unless he just absolutely kills it with player acquisition in this offseason, and I'm going to assume he's back in 2027. Like, unless he really kills it, right? He's not going to get a third coach. That just isn't going to happen because he will have been here. He's 6 years in. That's 7, 8 years, right? And if things aren't turned around, and I'm here to tell you, I don't think things are going to dramatically turn around this year. The schedule is favorable, or let me rephrase. The opponents appear to be favorable for them to have improvement in the win-loss column next season. But I'm also realistic. When you have to rebuild your offense from the ground up, which they do, new offensive line, new wide receiver group, you got to figure out your quarterback situation. I'm pretty much realistic in thinking that, yeah, they're going to win anywhere from 6 to 8 games next season. Like, I'm not going to be sitting here, even regardless of which of these 9 dudes they hire, I'm not going to sit here and sell fans that, hey, the Browns are going to be the worst the first team in 2026. No, I think it's a process, a multi-year process they're going to have to go through to retool this offense. And my fear is that by the time they do that, you got to retool your defense again because
those
a lot
guys
of
out of their prime. Yep.
Yeah, those guys are going to be out of their prime. Like,
does AB make it to the Dome?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I don't think he makes it to the Dome, and I don't think that the next head coach makes it to the Dome either.
So everything, when that Dome comes, everybody's new. That's the route I would say. I would say in 29, if they're not all here, they're all gone.
Yeah.
All right.
That just right now.
Yep.
I'm allowed to change my opinion.
Absolutely.
I'm allowed to be a politician and change my opinion depending how the wind is blowing. But as of this discussion right now, no, I don't believe that Andrew Berry makes it to the Dome. I don't think this next coach is going to make it to the Dome
because
either.
You can't. Once again, it'd be shocking when you say worst to first. You're talking tons of pieces that they're there, and you need a couple other. This is a offense that needs everything, and a defense, like you said, that has probably 2 or 3 years left in it to be really, really dominant. And when that happens, are we now offense is strong, and now the defense is in a complete rebuild? They got to figure this out quickly.
Take the Fan with you wherever you go. Listen to us on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps. 216-474-0092. It's Daryl Ryder, Lance Reisland. As we're asking you this morning, does one of these 9 guys, whoever they decide to hire, do they make it to the Dome, which is going to open in 2029? I say no. I think Andrew Berry doesn't make it to the Dome either. I think we'll have a new GM by then. unless he just absolutely kills it from a personnel standpoint, personnel acquisition standpoint. We got 9 guys that they're picking from. We know 2 are getting second interviews. We played some clips from Mary Kay Cabot yesterday. She was on with Earl DePearl and Spencer German here on The Fan. She said she doesn't feel that Mike McDaniel is going to get a second interview. I think that, first of all, Jim Schwartz and Todd Monken are supposed to get second interviews. I believe Dan Pitcher is going to get a second interview. I believe Nate Scheelhaus is going to get a second interview. And I think Grant Udinski, who had his virtual interview yesterday, lasted nearly 3 hours, I think he, too, is going to get a second interview. So I'm kind of down to 5 guys. I know there's a lot of buzz around Jim Schwartz, and he's going to be the guy. I don't know that he's going to be the guy, though. I think they're just going to keep him and talk him into staying on as the defensive coordinator. He's under contract 1 more year, 2026. Hey, what if they give him a contract extension? What if they say, hey, you know what? We're not going to make you a head guy because we're going to bring in one of these young offensive guru guys, but we're going to give you a contract extension with a raise. We'll make you the assistant head coach. We'll stay on as our defensive coordinator because you have just absolutely killed it in that regard. Then what would you do, Coach Riz?
Well, I will say this. If the thing that you have to worry about, too, is the grass is not always greener on the other side. Now, when you're saying Schwartz, it's going to be hard for him to stay. It's also going to be hard for Coach Schwartz to have the amount of success he has had with Cleveland with other people's rosters.
Myles Garrett's not going to be wherever he goes. I make the joke about these young coordinators not bringing their quarterbacks and receivers with them. Well, same thing. Schwartz isn't taking Myles Garrett and Grant Delpit and Carson Schlesinger and Denzel Ward, not taking those dudes with him, right?
So, I think a little bit differently than you. I think I'm with the young guy, a Scheelhaus, all these guys, maybe a Schwartz as my head coach, and then you're saying, hey, 2-3 years from now, maybe this will be our next head coach because Schwartz will then be at that age where he maybe wants to step down. And if he's having great success, then you're having great success. But I just think you have, with the stability where the Browns are at, Schwartz makes sense just because of that CEO stuff. That's, for me, that's what it comes down to, because these young guys, I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but as a high school coach, when you make the transition, the amount of stuff you can only imagine, right? So I just think that those young guys will be overwhelmed with the CEO stuff, and then they're going away from what made them such hot commodities as it is.
I don't know how much Shedeur is driving this process for them. It's not like a Joe Burrow situation or even like an established quarterback situation. He's not an established quarterback. He's a prospect still, in my view. He's a 5th-round pick. He had some bright spots. He had some things that has me curious and wanting to give him an opportunity, but I'm not ready to hand the car keys over to him and allow him to dictate what head coach gets hired next either. Like, that's just got to be an organizational decision that they're going to have to figure out, right? It's being asked in the interviews, hey, what do you think of Shedeur's game? Do you think there's something there? Is he a guy that we build around? Is he a guy that we just kind of dip the toes in the water and give him a chance to compete, right? I mean, because, you have to be aligned in that. The 4-man quarterback competition, you saw that. I mean, Shedeur was throwing to the freaking ball boys in practice. Like, what are we doing here? And so this year they can't do that. Like, they need to have a plan. Whatever the plan is, whether I agree with it or you agree with it, Lance.
There is one. There is one, right? That's what they have to have. Whether we like it or not, you're right. There has to be one, right? That's what they don't have.
I don't think last year I don't think that was a plan. Like, at no point did I think Shedeur Sanders was in a legit competition to be the starter. They kept calling it a 4-man competition. Did you feel it was a 4-man competition?
No, not at that point. Absolutely not. That was absolutely not fair to him. Not fair to all. To be honest with you, you want to have all those guys go through the ups and downs, and none of those guys were able to do that. Joe Flacco, they're saying he didn't need the reps because he's a veteran. Yes, he does. You need all those reps.
Yeah.
That for me, when he would say, I want those reps. So I both ends of it, I wasn't. And for me, I think Monken's more of an interview candidate. I agree with you. I don't think it's because of Shedeur. I think it's because of the success he's had against Schwartz.
Yeah.
And the idea of the traps and the counters and how he's manipulated man coverage against the safeties and linebackers, and how he stayed away from Ward and the outside guys. So I think that has just kind of his thought process on how he attacks Schwartz, because he's kind of the originator of the blueprint of some of the things that work against Schwartz.
Yeah, I would be kind of curious if they, like, after all the conversation about the young guys, if it ultimately ended up being Jim Schwartz head coach, Todd Monken comes back to be the OC.
And then they get a young DC that matches the kind of the mindset of Schwartz. Also,
well, that's why I asked you earlier in the show, which one of these young whippersnappers,
so it'd be dirty,
fits
well,
with
not
what
super young, but young as a.
But he is already the Seahawks defensive coordinator. Now he doesn't call plays, but he already has that title. So if you get him, you have to make him the assistant head coach to Schwartz, right? Because you got to change the title.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's the issue you have if Schwartz becomes the head coach. You are going to lose him. I don't know. It's a dynamic.
I mean,
it's a dynamic. What everybody wants is Schwartz to be the DC. I just don't know if that's something he wants after being passed up. But that's the ultimate thing, right? You get an offensive guy and then you keep Schwartz and everything's good.
There's just so many different ways. There's just so many different ways that this thing can go. And again, I don't have a leader in the clubhouse. I really don't. And
my leader in the clubhouse has got to be Schwartz, just because.
You think it's Schwartz?
I just think everything you and I have talked about, everything that everybody's talked about, everything that we watch every single day at practice.
Well, he's the leader because he's the first to get a second interview.
Yeah, and he's all but just you and I have watched him at practice, right? The idea of his structure and accountability and how he coaches those guys up, and the daily the reason they're good at all these things is because they practice it and all this kind of stuff. Like, I don't know, I think he brings stability to a non-stable place right now, and I think more than anything else, that's got to be something that's brought into the discussion is stability. They don't have any stability. I think he gives you pretty good stability because he keeps that defense what it is right now, and that's the only stability they have in this organization.
Yeah, again, we got 9 guys. Jim Schwartz, who will interview for a second time. Mary Kay Cabot, Cleveland.com, Plain Dealer. She was first to report that, even though Adam Schefter, I guess, got wind of that this morning, too. Todd Monken is expected to interview I believe, on Tuesday. Tommy Rees has interviewed for the job. There's reports good chance he's going to end up with Kevin Stefanski in Atlanta. We'll see how that plays out, but for now, he's still a candidate here. Dan Pitcher, the Bengals offensive coordinator, doesn't call plays, but does a lot. We heard from James Rapien at 10 o'clock. Go back, use the rewind function on the free Odyssey app to listen to that interview. Good stuff with James Rapien there on Dan Pitcher, still a candidate. Adding dirty, a little busy these days. The Seahawks now in the NFC Championship game. The defensive coordinator for Seattle was interviewed recently as well. Mike McDaniel interviewed too. Mary Kay Cabot told Earl DePearl and Spencer German yesterday on The Fan she doesn't think that he'll get a second interview. Obviously, anything can happen, but right now it doesn't seem to be that the wind is blowing in that direction. We'll see. Wouldn't mind him as an offensive coordinator. Pass game specialist for the Rams, Nate Scheelhaus. Rams a little busy today. They're in Chicago to play the Bears in the divisional round. We'll see if they talk to him again, which I do think they will. Grant Udinski, the Jaguars offensive coordinator, interviewed yesterday virtually for nearly 3 hours. And then, of course, Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter. So 9 guys. Got to pare this down now, Browns. Got to pare it down, okay? Need to tighten it up now. Tighten the field. My finalists: Jim Schwartz, Todd Monken, only because he's getting the second interview. Dan Pitcher, Grant Udinski, and Nate Scheelhaus. Those are I'm going from 9 to 5. We're down now. I'm going to narrow it from there. I think it's going to come down to Pitcher, Scheelhaus, or Udinski. They keep Schwartz as the defensive coordinator and name him assistant head coach. That's my theory, and I'm sticking with it. Real quick, your finalists are?
Schwartz. I'm going to go absolutely Schwartz. Monken, for everything you said. I'm going to go, I think it's Udinski. And then I think Chris Shula is
Really?
I think he's just because I think if Schwartz, they want to keep the identity of that defense. Shula best does that with his scheme if Schwartz is not around. So I'm going to go with a little sleeper there in Shula.
Okay. You might have to fight the Miami Dolphins for him. You know that we know the Shula name there down in South Florida and what he means to those folks.